Hi, everyone. How are you guys on this awesome Monday morning? Well, it might not be morning for all of you. It is for me still. It's 11 o'clock in Missouri. So, what we're going to be talking about today is the awesome training program that I have developed. And I want to I want to explain the benefits of an online training program like the one I've developed versus one that you just pay like a one off, for example, where you pay for one course, like how to potty train or how to, walk nicely on a leash. Also versus an in-person trainer and what the different benefits you'll get from each one. There's different, there's benefits to any kind of training that you do, in person training, when you do a one off course online or you just see a trainer one time. There's always benefits to training. So I advocate train however you have to train, get your dogs trained. That is my main goal and main purpose in everything I do, is to spread the message that every dog needs training. Doesn't matter the breed, doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter what the circumstances are. They all need public school, private school, or homeschool. So when we think about it in terms of like our children and how we train our children or how we educate our kids, it's kind of we have a lot of parallels in there between training or educating our children versus training or educating our dogs. And I'm just hoping, I just let my dogs out there in there taking a nap, nice and quiet. So I'm hoping they don't interrupt us too much today, like they normally want to be on camera the whole time I'm on camera. It's so hilarious. People always ask, how do you get your dogs to be so, energetic and photogenic and stuff? And I'm like, they've just been in front of the camera their whole lives. I've just been recording them since they were puppies, so they just like it. I guess it's kind of like a kid, when you raise a kid to always be on camera and stuff, they'll eventually come to love it. So every time I start talking to the computer, they're like, oh, mommy's talking to people, let me do it too. So okay, so let's get into it. So I had talked previously about the three parts to dog training. So there's the human aspect, the dog aspect, and the personality aspect. So you have to take all three of those things into consideration when you're hiring a trainer, when you're buying a one-off course, or, going in person, doing something online, doing your research. You have to really think about those things. So for me, my kind of specialty, you could say, is pit bulls, because pit bulls have a little bit of a different personality than many other dogs do. For example, little Chiweenies have way different personalities than a Great Dane, for example. And so when we're thinking about our dogs and the training that they're going to receive or that we're going to give to them, we have to think about their personality and how we can get them to best be trained, right? So we think about, like, how do they learn best? And so one of those ways we can figure that out is just by trying different things, just trying different aspects of training. We can try tools, we can try voice commands, we can try hand signals, we can try, all reward training, we can try all or none reward training, we can try, lure reward training, we can try the clicker, we can try all of these different methods to see which one works best for our dog. And even within the pit bull spectrum, they have such a range of personalities. Some are just really laid back, some are very energetic, and they all have different kinds of personalities and stuff. So we have to think about that when we're learning how we can best help our dogs to train. And so, do you guys like my mug? I got this for getting 1,000 people on my page. Thanks, guys, for liking my page. I'm so excited. We've hit that thousand like mark. It's so awesome. You guys are great. Sharing everything and just getting us up to that is amazing. I am so happy. So when we think about, those things, we have to think about if they're a puppy too. So puppies puppy training only goes up to about, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. Hang on, hang on. I'm looking at a different number now, and now I've just lost my mind. Oh my Lanta, 18 weeks. So puppies, we want to train them as puppies from 12 to 18 weeks of age. So that's the prime time when they're puppies that they're going to learn the best, that we're going to be able to handle them off leash the most effectively and stuff like that. So when you're thinking about starting your puppy training, you want them to be between 12 to 18 weeks. Not necessarily when they graduate from puppy class, they have to be less than 18 weeks, because that only gives you 6 weeks. And I offer a 12-week puppy course. So we want to start them between 12 and 18 weeks in puppy class to try and get them, to learn the puppy basics, how to become a dog that has manners, things like that. So in puppy class, we're going to learn about bite inhibition. We're going to socialize them to death. I mean, we are going to get them used to men, to women, to kids, to strangers, to other dogs. We are going to temperament train them. We're going to correct any behavior problems that we see, because this is the age between 12 and 18 weeks. We can actually tell when they're being a little bit more of a bully, and we can actually train that kind of behavior out of them. If we catch it early enough, it's not even an issue. It's really, really easy. And we're going to be teaching them about basic manners. We're going to be flooding them with a bunch of social stimuli. We're going to be wearing costumes. We're going to be making noises. We're going to be running the vacuum cleaner. All of these things we need to get ingrained into your puppy, that are not bad noises. We can create a vicious dog. We can also create a very fearful dog. And neither one of those cases are humane for a dog to live in that state of mind, either direction. So we want to be in the middle. We want a dog that is outgoing and not fearful of the things he shouldn't be fearful of, but also has good manners when it comes to humans and other dogs. So we're going to be desensitizing them to any possible frightening things, because I will tell you from my experience and the case studies that I've read about children being attacked by dogs is mostly, hang on, I even have my coffee for the morning, so yet. So most of the times when a dog, or when a kid gets bit by a dog, it is because the kid frightens them or gets in their space. Okay, for example, a dog has a bone in its mouth, and the kid reaches for the bone to grab it, and that dog is possessive of the bone, right? I mean, we all expect that. And we want to teach our children not to do those kind of things, right? We want to teach our kids to leave our dogs alone while they're eating. I mean, you don't want somebody in your face while you're eating. Your dog doesn't either. But while they're a puppy, we're going to get in their face while they're eating. That way, we're going to hand feed them tons and tons of kibble, because that's going to prevent them from being possessive over their bowl. That's going to prevent them from being possessive over that bone. And like I've said, I don't even know how many times I've said this, but if my dogs have a toy or have a bone or have a piece of paper in their mouth, my 5-year-old niece can open their mouth and get it out without any problems. There's no growling. There's no, raised hackles. No indication at all whatsoever that this dog is under stress because this child just stuck her hand in their mouth. None at all. She can take the treats from them. She can hand feed them treats, and they don't even nip at her. They take them very nicely. And the reason that is because I've exposed her to them since they were puppies. She was very, very small when we got Sissy. She was I think she was 2 when we got Sissy, and she was feeding Sissy treats from the day we got her. So, we have to expose them to those kind of stimuli. We have to overexpose them to children and to men, because most of the time a dog isn't going to bite a female. Don't know why. It's just one of those things. Dogs don't typically bite women. So we need to really overexpose them to men, overexpose them to children, have puppy parties, all of these kind of things. I will walk you through each one of these steps. Each week you have a syllabus that you will have access to before we have our class. So you'll know you'll have a little bit of pre-work for the class, and then you'll have a little bit of homework after the class. And all of these things will be building up on one another. So a couple of the commands that we will be learning in puppy class is sit, down, stay, stand. We're going to be learning those things. We're also going to be grabbing their collars a lot, not in anger or not vicious or violently, but a lot of dog bites also happen when you grab their collar because they don't know what you're doing. And if they're not used to you grabbing their collar, then they could turn around and snip at you. So we want to get them used to grabbing their collar. We're going to be using mostly a method called lure reward training, where we're going to use a lot of kibble for rewards. Okay. As small as dogs are at 12 to 18 weeks, they are not picky eaters. So we don't want to be, and we're going to be feeding them a lot. So we don't want to be giving them a whole bunch of even these 1-calorie treats that I'm sure by now everyone on my pages knows I'm in love with these. Even these 1.5 calorie treats really aren't practical when it comes to a puppy. Now, yes, by the time our lesson is done, your puppy is going to be so full of treats and he is going to want to train. Every week when you get your live lesson, we're going to be giving them tons and tons and tons of kibble. And that dog is going to be like, oh my gosh, that little girl, she manhandled me, but I got tons of treats, so I don't care, you know? So we're going to be learning how to take a treat out of their mouths. We're going to use a pig ear for that. Pig ears are very valuable to dogs. And so we're going to be learning how to do that, how to get them to not bite you when you take it out. We're going to be learning about settling them down. I'm going to be teaching you guys how to handle them properly so that your hands are never used in anger or aggression in any way. We're going to be learning a lot of walking, heeling, distance commands, like where you back up and they stay sitting and then you have them come to you, things like that. We're going to learn some leash work, stuff like that. And then on week 6, if you sign up for, actually, let me grab the link here. I'll put it in real quick. This is the link to sign up. So you just click on that link and you can go in and sign up for either the 6-week course or the 12-week course. And then you just let me know their age, gender, name, all that kind of stuff. And then I will put you into the appropriate class. If you have to have a certain day of the week for the live trainings, you will have access to all of the trainings for 6 months afterwards. So you can go back and rewatch them and redo them or whatever. If you happen to miss a class, you can catch up on it the next day if you'd like, things like that. So since this isn't in-person puppy class, it's a little bit more flexible and lenient as far as attendance is concerned. Now, I will tell you that if you aren't live on the call, I can't see what your dog is doing and how your dog is acting to correct any behaviors. So I can't tell you if it's normal or not for them to behave that way and things like that. So I do encourage everybody to get on the live calls because, you know, that way I can diagnose any problems right away. However, I am available. So all you have to do is go in the group. There's a Facebook group, and as well there's a membership area outside of the Facebook group. However, all of the information and videos and stuff will be uploaded there as well. But we'll be doing most of the work in a private Facebook group, okay? And in that group, you can ask any questions you want. I'm available. I'll answer them as much as you need me to. So you don't have to worry about being left alone. So in the adult class, because adult dogs are quite different than puppies, of course. So The adult class starts at 19 weeks. Now, if you registered for the 12 weeks of puppy class right at the 18-week mark, then if you go into adult class, your dog's going to be a little older than 19 weeks. But that's okay. They can be any age in the adult class, 19 weeks and over. The reason that we separate it out like this is because adult dogs, or at 19 weeks, a puppy kind of loses his puppy license, so to speak. So adult dogs start treating the puppy differently at 19 weeks. They start getting hormones, and they start, different personality changes and stuff like that. And so we have to take a little bit different of an approach to an adult dog or a 19-week and over dog than we do a 12 to 18-week dog. And the reason we don't start puppy class until 12 weeks is because I really want you to focus, if you do have a brand new puppy and you just got him from the, the people, wherever you get your puppy, the rescue, or you adopted it or whatever. I want you to bring the puppy home, and I want you to get them really started out well. Now, you can sign up for the class and take it later if you'd like, whatever you want to do. That's fine. But really, really concentrating on you desensitizing that puppy to its surroundings, to the people in your house, your husband, your kids, your other dogs, whatever the case may be, its living area, things like that. And if you need help with that part, I do one-on-one consultations for $30 for a 30-minute consultation, where we'll do a video conference one-on-one, and I can walk you through, where would probably be the best area to set up like a puppy pen and stuff like that, so you can have errorless house training as well. And we can do that also. And those consultations are usually pretty quick and over with in 30 minutes easily. So let's see here. Adult class. Let's get back to adult class. So we are going to be learning many of the same things in adult class that we're learning in puppy class. For example, leash work, we're going to be working with the leash. However, with adults, we kind of have to keep them on a leash most of the time, right? If you took a puppy to an off-leash dog park, there are very few dogs that would, hurt your puppy. Your puppy isn't going to hurt any other dog, because the second they nip at another dog, that dog is going to put them down and say, no, that's not acceptable. And usually without any, significant injuries, which is a great thing about having an adult dog around a puppy. That was how Fennel got trained on how to be around other dogs, because Sissy would do that to him. And so he would start playing, and she didn't want to play or something. She'd just roll him over. Boom, we're done. And so that's a great thing about what adult dogs do with puppies. So once they hit 19 weeks, it's kind of like they go from a puppy to an adult, even though they don't have an adult-sized body. So, but their personalities are. And so we're going to learn more really hardcore leash training, especially if you're having difficulties and you have a dog that won't walk properly on a leash. Believe me, I have had 90% of the issues or better. Between the two of them, I've had 100% of these issues that we talk about and go through in these classes. So walking nicely on a leash, if you guys have followed me for any amount of time, you know the struggle I have had with walking nicely on a leash. And it hasn't been easy, because I slacked. Sometimes us dog trainers slack a little bit in the training of our own dogs. You guys know, because mine just jump all over me while I'm on a live and stuff. And while they're in the house, that's one thing. But when they're outside, I really expect them to be well behaved. And it was so funny, because the other day I was letting Fennel out. I take him out one at a time now. And well, when I have one of the kids here, we take both of them. I could use the double leash, but I've kind of just want to spend, my time with one of them out on a walk, and then come back and get the other one and spend a little bit of time with that one. So I was letting Fennel out. I had him on his leash, and Sissy pushed her way in between my leg and the door, and she got out. and she wasn't on a leash, she wasn't on a lead or anything. She had her collar, and that was it. And what did she do? Like, it was like freedom, and she just took off. And I expected her to just bolt, because she's done that before. She's gotten out of our yard and just ran down the street, and then she turned around and came right back, met another dog and started sniffing this other dog, and they became friends all in like 5 minutes. It was so funny. So I had kind of expected her to do that, like bolt over to the other apartments or bolt out to the road over here or something. She didn't. I just said, Sissy, come. And she circled the parking lot in case. She took the long way around, but she came right back. And she was just running like, and when she got back to me, she was just looking at me like, did I do good? So I put her inside, and I'm like, dude, don't scare me like that, but she came back. And that's what we need to be able to do. And I mean, she was probably a good, I don't know, 45 feet away from me when, the furthest she got away from me was like 45 feet. And I hollered for one of my kids, and then I said, Sissy, come back, or come. And she finally just circled around my van and came right back. But the point is, she came back without me having to run after her. I did not have to take one step towards her. And so that's the kind of training that we want. I emphasize, to no end, keep your dog on a leash. It is your legal responsibility, not to mention your moral responsibility. If your dog should happen to go into another dog's space and that dog attacks your dog, or your dog attacks that dog because they just don't like each other, it happens. And every dog, it can happen to every single dog. You're not immune to it just because you think your dog is the best dog in the world. I'm not immune to it, And so realistically, we have to have realistic expectations for our dogs. Our kids don't get along with everybody. I was in a few fights when I was in high school and junior high, and I'm not proud of it, but it happens. And I didn't start them, but my dad taught me I had to finish them. If somebody else started them, I had to finish them. So I did what I had to do. But it was so funny, okay, because there was this case on, I watch a lot of judge shows, and there was this one judge lady, her name is Judge Faith Jenkins, and she had a dog bite case, and this, I don't even know what kind of dog it was. I saw the picture, but it was just a mutt of some kind. They said it was a lab, but it did not look like a lab at all. It was very, very short hair, almost looked like fennel with a little bit longer hair, and like completely yellow. And this dog actually severely injured this other lady's pit bull, and the pit bull did nothing. Like, I mean, he snapped back at the dog after the dog like literally had his head in his mouth. He bit his leg, but this poor dog's head was completely mangled down his back. He had to have surgery immediately. And Judge Faith said, this is odd because it's normally the pit bulls that are before me as the aggressors. Or, it's the other dog, not the pit bull, that has the most significant injuries. So this is really interesting. And she was like, maybe, there are good pit bulls out there kind of thing. And I was like, yes, Judge Judy, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, then Judge Marilyn Millian, when was this? Oh my gosh, now I forgot what the case was about. Now I forgot. Anyway, so that is good evidence that you really, honestly, you can't go by breed as to which breed is going to be the most aggressive. Now, I do sort of specialize in pit bulls or American Pit Bull Terriers, bullies, bulldogs, things like the bully breeds, because they have such a distinct personality. They have terrier in them, but they're also working dogs. So they have the capability of being trained really easily, actually. And as a pit bull owner, as an APBT owner, I have an obligation to train my dog because she is looked at by the world as the enemy, as the worst dog on the face of the planet. This is the most dangerous dog ever in existence. And it's not true by any stretch of the imagination. It's not true. But if you can get your dog trained where they come back to you without you having to take a step forward towards them, if you can get your dog trained to walk nicely on a leash, to take treats nicely out of your hand, and not be afraid of kids or men, then you've done your job as a pet owner, as a dog owner. And so, you have to think about the long-term cost of being a pet owner when you get a dog. Because most people, I just had to do this because we just got birds. I just had to sit down and say, okay, so what is the birds are costing me this much to purchase today. What is the long-term cost going to be every year to me for these birds? You have to factor in veterinarian visits, you have to factor in treats, you have to factor in food, you have to factor in water, you have to factor in all the laundry you have to do, because if they sleep in your bed, you've got to wash your blankets and stuff a lot more often. You have to factor in all of those things. All of those things have to be considerations. And I think way too often, all of those things are considerations, but one is oftentimes left off, and that is training. And so we have to think about training in a different way. So we have to think about training as when we get our dog, we have to think about that in the total cost. What is it going to cost us every year to raise this dog? And even though you don't have to take a 6-week or 12-week intensive course every single year, once you do that and you have that 6-week or 12-week intensive, and you have them, learned as puppies, then you want to come back in a couple of years and kind of do a refresher course. You could do a 6-week course in that case instead of the full 12 weeks, and just kind of freshen up on things, or just join my membership group for 35. I think it's 35 now. I raised it from 30 to 35, starting when I open my cart. My membership is going to be up a little bit higher too. So you can join the membership group for $35 a month and get all of the benefits of that without having to go into a personal dog trainer or going to a $300 intensive, or all of these things. And you have to take that into consideration when you buy an animal. When you buy a dog, you buy a leash to make sure you can walk him on a leash, right? Or you buy a fence to fence in your property, or and you buy a shock collar if you need a shock collar. You buy a prong collar if you need a prong collar. You buy treats because you want to treat them nicely. You buy their favorite food because they love it so much. So with training, they are going to benefit so much, and they're going to be so much happier than if they are not trained. When they're not trained, they don't know what you expect of them. Through training, they learn what you expect of them, and so they can live up to your expectations that way. If you don't tell them what your expectations are, they have no way of knowing. So what is my mantra? My mantra is train, 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 over and over and over again. I am the pit bull mama because I love pit bulls. But even more than I love pit bulls, I love a trained dog. one that doesn't react to other dogs. And I confess, I'm not perfect about that. You know, Sissy does react to other dogs. She wants to play with every dog that comes her way. She really does. She just wants to get out there and just play with every single dog. And I have to hold her back because that's not very good dog manners, and so I have to hold her back a lot of times. But she just loves playing with other dogs. She loves playing with Fennel. They are so excitable together, you know, and stuff. And you just have to harness that energy and harness that awesome terrier that's in them, and that awesome work ethic of the pit part. Combine those two together and you have an amazingly trained dog who's very energetic, who is going to protect you and your family to the end, because they're very loyal, very, very loyal. They're going to protect you. They're going to be your constant companion. They're never going to leave you, and they're never going to want to go anywhere else. And they'll be with you forever. They really will, because they just love their owners that much. Even owners that abuse them, they're like kids who get abused. And it's very, very sad, but it happens. And in some of those cases, they can't be rehabilitated because, yeah, they are dangerous. But when they're, you know, bred as a fighting dog, they're dangerous. They can be very vicious, and sometimes they can't be rehabilitated. And that breaks my heart, because I don't ever want to see a dog in that condition. I don't want to see your dog being aggressive towards another dog, towards another human, towards another kid. Biting is one thing. Mauling is quite different. If you have two dogs that get into a fight, and this is one of the things that we're going to do in the adult class, there's a thing called bite-fight ratio, or fight-bite ratio. I always get it switched. Anyway, it's how many fights have they been in versus how many trips to the vet have happened. And if they have gotten into, let's say, 25 fights with various dogs, sometimes multiple times with the same dog, and there's only one trip to the vet, your dog has a very, very high likelihood of success with training. However, if he's been in 25 fights and 25 dogs have gone to the vet, that dog may not be able to be rehabbed. And that's kind of a case that I really don't, I could take on, but I couldn't take it on online. Like, that's not something that I can help online with. If you were in my area, I would, you know, be more than happy to set up an in-person consultation. But for a dangerous or vicious dog consultation, it's pretty high, because, you know, there's a lot of risks that go into that. And but I'm more than happy to at least take a look. Can't guarantee that I you know, be able to do anything for that kind of case, but, you know, it's always worth a second look. And if you have a professional that says, you know what, this dog just can't be redeemed, this dog just cannot, there's no amount of training that's going to help this dog, you know, it's sad. It breaks my heart. I don't ever want you guys' dogs to get that way, or my dogs to get that way. That's just really, really, really bad. Fights are going to happen. They just are. They do. They just do. It's like my kids can't go one day without screaming at each other. You know, fortunately, there's been very little fisticuffs flown, but, you know, I'm the type of parent, if my daughter hits my son, then my son can shove her away, right? Or if my son hits my daughter, or if my son hits my daughter, she can cold cock him, you know. But that happened. I think the last time that happened was like when they were 2, when my son was 2, and he took a toy away from my daughter. No, he was 3, because she was just starting to walk. And he took a toy away from her, and she shoved him down to the ground and sat on his stomach and just slapped him in the face over and over and over again. I thought it was hilarious, but just confessions from the Mom Diaries. I was trying so hard not to laugh, but I had to punish her because he didn't hit her. She had no right to put her hands on him. And he had no right to take her toy, so they both ended up getting punished. But okay, so confession from the mom diaries. I really, really did have a hard time not just like, you deserve that kind of thing. But we've got to raise them better than that, and we've got to raise our dogs better than that. So when they get into a fight or a little scrap or a little tiff or something with another dog, we have to stop it. I mean, we're not just going to let it escalate to the point where they cause blood. So we want to stop it, but we want to also look at those fights as objective, from an objective perspective. So when a dog has a fight, is there blood? If there is blood, did the person who got injured or the dog who got injured, did that dog go to the veterinarian, the emergency room? What happened in that situation? Then we can kind of evaluate whether or not your dog is, actually truly aggressive or not. Because if your dog just got into 25 fights and nobody got hurt, that is actually, I'll tell you right now, that dog is an amazing dog. Okay? Because dogs don't settle their differences with words. We do that. We settle our differences with words, and we tell our kids, fight with words, not with fists. Right? And if somebody hits you, you can defend yourself. But in general, fight with your words, not your fists. That's why we have courtrooms. That's why we have attorneys. That's why we have school principals. That's why we have teachers. But dogs can't fight with words. They don't speak words. Yes, they bark, and every bark has a different meaning and all of that kind of stuff. But they fight with their body language, and they fight with fists. They fight with their mouth, and just because they get into a little tussle or a little scrap or something doesn't mean they're actually trying to kill each other. They're trying to settle their differences. The neighbor dog came into your yard and your dog just full on just laid that dog out with no injuries, just rolled him over. I call it rolling them over because, usually it's like boom, and they roll over several times, and they didn't. I mean, Sissy and Fennel have done that a couple of times. I was on a live the other day and they were doing it right behind me. It just got a little bit out of hand. And of course, as soon as I stopped recording, they stopped fighting. And that's how dogs play. And that's how older dogs teach younger dogs to defend themselves. So it's natural. It's going to happen. And we just have to step in when it becomes too much, right? So when they don't actually, I've been bit way more than the 3 times that I have been bit. There's a difference between being bit and being bitten, because I've been bit by these guys 100 times or better each. Training them how to take treats nicely, training them on, to jump up to get the treat, training them to roll over, all of these things. I've gotten bit. It's never broken the skin. And okay, I've gotten a scratch a couple of times when Fennel's teeth were really, really sharp before he lost his baby teeth. But, so all of these things, we kind of have to expect a certain amount of, we have to give them a little bit of grace when it comes to, they are dogs, they are going to nip at you when they're not happy. We have to train them how to not do that. And that's part of this training. Puppy training is so amazing because we're going to teach them bite inhibition. Okay. So that means, you know what, you can put your mouth on me, but it better not hurt. And when they put their mouth on you as an adult, it won't hurt if you teach them as a puppy. And teaching an adult bite inhibition is a little bit harder, but it can be done because we've done it. We did it with Sissy. We didn't get Sissy until she was like 9 months old. And we taught her, I mean, she bit hard when she was 9 months old when we first got her and stuff. And she had her adult teeth at that time. And baby teeth, they may hurt, but they just make a little hole. Adult teeth, if they make a hole, it hurts. It's bad because they're not as sharp. They're very blunt. And so, I mean, we've done it, taught her bite inhibition. And it's been easy. easy when you feed them with your hands, when you expose them to the kids, when you expose them to the men, when you expose them to the strangers. Opening your door when the mail lady is walking up is a perfect way to do that. Just open your door and leave your screen door open and let them see the mail lady, let them see the UPS guy, things like that. I mean, you can do all of these things even with adult dogs. Okay. And that is my goal, is to walk you through that at a cost that you can actually afford. Okay. And just remember, when you break it down by class topic, I guess you could say, you could pay individually for sit training, for leash training, for stand training, for stay training, for bomb proofing your stays, for for jumping, for you could pay separately for a program for each one of those training topics. Okay. And you really could. In my program, it is all condensed into one training program. And it is week by week, we just progressively build on each thing that we've learned the week before. We just progressively get better and better and better results. Now, the other thing, and this is the last thing that I wanted to point out about this unique and amazing training program. Well, there's two more things I have to say, this one and then another thing. So with this unique training program, you can bring in a partner. Okay. So let's say you have Susie Joe down the street who just got a puppy as well, or she got a puppy and you have an adult, or something like that. Or you both have adults. You bring Susie Joe in and you both sign up. If you both sign up, then the person who referred her, Susie Joe, will get a $50 discount. And the person who signed up with her will also get a $50 discount. So when you refer someone, you get a discount. For every person you refer, you get a $50 discount. So if you refer 6 people, you get your 6-week training free. Okay. So that's what I had to say about that. And you can also, if you have 2 puppies, you train together. It's amazing. It's great. Then you can do a lot with the puppies then too, and you might not have to take as many field trips to the dog park if you have a partner. And then, excuse me, this coffee is making me burp. And then the next thing I wanted to say is, and this is what I'll end on. There are several different programs. There's one-offs, there's online where you just watch a bunch of videos, and you kind of do it yourself. There's in-person, there's, Petco or PetSmart that do their training programs. And I can't attest to the Petco and PetSmart and how effective they are. I'll just confess that right now. I have no idea their success rate or how good their trainers are. I have no idea what certifications that they have or anything like that. So I have no idea. I'm just going to be completely honest with you on that. No idea about them. So if anybody has any experience with Petco or PetSmart, I would love to hear it. But I've always been cautioned by pet parents not to take training from them because it's not very thorough. Now, that being said, I have never had experience with them, and I have also heard very good things about their training programs as well. So, that's, like I said, any training you do is going to be beneficial unless you're doing it wrong, which, you can, but I don't believe Petco or PetSmart would be training dogs improperly or have any kind of malice in their hearts or anything. Now, what I would caution you about the one-off programs, and this is kind of a trap I fell into when I first started training. I thought, you know what, I can get all of this on YouTube. I can find all of these videos and I can, kind of piecemeal everything together and have a very successfully trained dog. Yes and no. I mean, it takes so much energy to do that when you can, and you can do it. You can. And you can pay $20 here and $20 there for the individual, learn how to walk nicely on a leash, or, learn this, that, or the other. And you can do it and you can have success. But I'm telling you right now, it takes so much energy. And it is so difficult to remember and to really appreciate what you're learning. And then on top of that, you don't have access to the trainer afterwards. So, and even those trainers, in my experience, I've done several of them, just to kind of get different perspectives on trainings and stuff. And I've never gotten a response from many of the trainers when I have questions like, oh, hey, this method didn't work for my dog. What do you recommend? Never gotten an answer. Never. And so, I mean, that kind of discourages me, because I just want dogs trained. And if I have to be available to my customers every day for questions for, the 2 or 3 months that we're going through training together, I'm going to be available for them. And then the other option is like the private in-person training. So you may take them to, I don't even know if in my area, I don't know how many areas actually have like puppy classes and adult classes like in this format, because there are some. I just don't know where they're at. In this area, I don't know how many there are, if there are even any in the Kansas City metro area. If you can get into a program like that in your area, that's even better. I'll just say that. That's even better. And I would encourage you to do that. If you can get into an in-person private program and you can afford it and everything, go for it. Get in that private in-person program, because it's going to benefit you. It's going to benefit your dog the absolute most. Okay. And then you can come back to me, and for $35 a month, be in our exclusive training monthly group membership. And then you can ask all the questions you want and everything. So, there are so many different options as far as training. And the reason that mine is the best is because I encompass all of the training into one program designed specifically for puppies, and then a whole nother program designed specifically for adults. And then I also give you the follow-up to that. For 6 whole months, you have access to me in the group for free. So you sign up for the course, and either the 6-week or the 12-week, either one that you sign up for, you have access to me in the group for 6 months. And I'm answering any questions you have. You can ask other members of the group, things like that. And you get that because I know how important the follow-up is. The follow-up afterwards is the most important, because I can teach you something in one lesson, and then 2 or 3 weeks down the road, you're like, oh crap, what did she say? And you could even rewatch the video, or, you could ask somebody, one of your neighbors, oh my gosh, I can't remember what she said. What did she say? I didn't write it down, things like that. Or you could just come and ask me. And I want that. That's important to me, to have that follow-up with you guys. Okay. So, and I promise all of my, we've been getting stuff to storage. We've got the living room is almost cleared out. Praise you, Jesus. Oh my goodness. This move has been terrible on my nerves. I have been out of my mind. And so we finally got 90% of the things that are going to storage or to the thrift store out the door. Now we've got to get my work stuff put up, and just crazy day. So if you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to contact me on my page. If you know my personal profile by chance, don't send me a message on my personal profile. I actually don't accept friend requests from business people, from customers and things like that, just because I try and keep them, separate. You guys on here actually probably have access to more of my life than my personal friends do. Just being honest. My personal friends see my daughter's gymnastics meet, and that's about it. and football games and stuff. But just message me on my page, the Pampered Pitbull and Mama, if you have any questions at all. Let me know if you are really wanting to join the program. What is holding you back? Just comment below. If you're really wanting to join a training program, let me know what's holding you back. Because, that's something that we can work out. I mean, my goal here is to get dogs trained. It's not to break the bank on every one of my customers so that I can get rich. As you can tell, I don't care if I'm rich. I do need to make some kind of money though, because I have to be able to live. But, my goal, my first and foremost goal is for the dogs, is to keep them out of shelters and to get them out of shelters. And, I have set up a sponsorship program. So if anybody wants to become a sponsor to someone who is needing training, if you want to buy the program for someone else, anything like that, just let me know and we can finagle it around. Okay. And I think that's it. We're right at 51 minutes. So I'm going to say goodbye before my voice goes out. Every day's a great day to be a Pitbull mama. And I can't wait to see you guys in our intensive training programs for puppies, 12 to 18 weeks, and adults 19 weeks and up. Bye, guys, and have a fantastic day.